This is John from TripleSleeveTCG, and I just got the buy card for a shop challenge using Messiahs. So your starter, Messiah. It doesn't really matter what you use, but I like to use this one. For grade 3s, I run 4 Harmonics. Obviously, this is your boss card. This is what finishes games, gets you draws if you don't finish it. So yeah, you can easily +4 with this deck. For your first ride, I run Grayon because I think Messiah, if you just do first ride, it's pretty slow. So this fixes that because you're just putting your opponent's Vanguard at 0. So you can swing faster and harder. I run 2 Nail. This is your main combo piece. I don't like the grade 2 very much. I much prefer him because he gets power and I get to choose what I want. For grade 2s, for this monk, you counterblast 1, bind a grade 2 or greater, and if it's grade 2, or bind a card if it's grade 2 or greater, soul charge. This deck uses a lot of soul, so this is very good to mitigate the costs. 4 of the Restanding Monk. I like to see this in hand and in deck because in hand I can use it. You can use it, lock it with Nail, which is really good because then you can double monk, so 2 chances to restand. This 2 of the grade 2 well. This is basically discounted Nail in my opinion because if you call from the top and it's trigger, that's just sad. So yeah, I don't really like this card very much.
Sad days.
Yeah. 1 Vect. Once I run out of targets with monk, or if I run out of monks, I just use this instead because it pressures pretty well because you're forcing them to call down a trigger or they give you more pluses. For grade 1s, your main ride target, Destiny Dealer, because if you ride it, you just get a free plus because you put it as locked. So I usually put it in the back row in a column because I don't know what it is yet. 4 Calderon Wing. This is probably one of the MVPs because for Soul Blast you lock itself and counter charge, which is really good. So yeah. 2 Drown. I don't usually get this card in hand when I have Grayon, so that's kind of sad. But I still like it because in the off chance that you do get it and you delete, you can still counter charge, so you mitigate the counterblast 2, which is really good. Or you reduce the cost to just basically counterblast 1, and you get a free bind. So see this card. I actually like her very much because you do put things as lock and lock a lot of things, so you can put it there and it just keeps gaining power and more power. So I think at one point, at one of the games, I got it to plus 15k, which is very strong. For triggers, I run 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. You don't really need extra draws because Messiah draws you so much anyway. And the crit gives you more like shield power and is way more aggressive, which is what you need in the early game. So, yeah.
Well, what were your matchups and like stuff?
The hardest matchups for Fish is Maria's a really hard to fight against because they're great. Like their early game is very strong with Lancelot and such, but I don't know if you go Force 2 because their hand for defending isn't as high because they're usually filled with grade 3s using Sierra and all of that. So if you just go Force 2 and you like swing with Grayon while they're deleted, which forces them to either re-ride, which they kind of don't want because you only really need 1 Sonata, but yeah, you just have to go Force 2 and try to pressure them as fast as possible. Yeah, that was just the hardest matchup.
Well, your regional's after the ban list, so you think you're gonna face Bermuda going forward, or
yes,
you think the representation
that Lancelot ban, that Lancelot ban. I'm gonna say whatever. It's a Lancelot ban. No one's gonna drop Sonata. I mean, it makes it so the early game is much weaker, which is good, because the early game is already pretty weak, and Lancelot was like the card that fixed it, because you can still high roll and get into a melody unit. But I don't know. I still think I'll see a lot more because their late game power is still strong.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all right. Thanks for doing the deck profile.
No problem.